Some of the biggest influences in any of our life is a book that we read. And one in particular, I can remember, though it's more than a decade ago, where I sat in the room I was in, where I was at, what semester in college, when I read J.C. Ryle's opening question to his book, A Call to Prayer. He says, "Do you pray?" And there was something about the simplicity of his question that it cut through all of the nuance, all of the difficulty, all of the excuses. A heart-piercing question that as a college student I couldn't avoid. Do you pray? Do I pray? And I think the answer that we all give is yeah, but not nearly as much as I should. In fact, anytime you hear a sermon on prayer, or you read a book on prayer, or you have a conversation about prayer, it's one of the most convicting or disappointing topics in the Christian life. And the question I want us to ask together or consider is, why is that? Why is prayer one of those things in the Christian life that we're just perpetually disappointed in, perpetually failing at? Why is it, well, maybe it isn't easier for some, but why does it always seem easier to have a Bible reading plan, but not a prayer schedule? Why is it easier to be a faithful Sunday attender and just struggle to pray in the prayer closet? I think a lot of the reasons that we would give, reasons, excuses, whatever you want to call it, those roadblocks that stand in the way between you and a flourishing, robust, thriving personal prayer life. If you were to think through what are those things that stop you, I think a lot of us would say, well, I'm just really busy. I don't have the time for that. And I think deep down, even that we know is not really the case. I mean, we're all on quarantine right now, and I doubt that our prayer lives have magically flourished out of nowhere. So I don't think it's we don't have time. I've said often that we all make time to do the things that we want to do. For some, maybe they would say, well, I don't know how to pray. I've not had it modeled for me. I've not been discipled in that. I haven't read the right book on that. Or it's a lack of know-how. Some might say, I'm not gifted in prayer. God gifts some people to be prayer warriors, or people who they take to prayer like a fish takes to water, and that's not me, and so it's not my gifting, it's not my thing. But I think with all of these, we know somewhere deep down that there's a more fundamental, foundational issue at play. I have spent years asking myself, why does my prayer life languish? Why does my prayer life struggle? And I've gone through all of the normal questions, all of the normal excuses. I've had good seasons, I've had bad seasons, I've had stagnant seasons, flourishing seasons. But at the heart, I think, of why we don't pray as a people like we should, why we as a church aren't marked by prayer. It's maybe more than this, but I don't think it's less than this. It fundamentally comes down to our affections for the living God. Prayer has a way of getting to the heart of, do we love and seek God, or do we not? And now I wish that there was a different answer to tell you. I wish it was a time management issue, and we could just talk about time management techniques to help free that up. I wish I could tell you that it was just a know-how and 7 quick tips on a flourishing prayer life could get you there. But those ultimately don't answer the problem that is the modern American church's prayerlessness. Our problem with prayer is we do not love God as we should. Now, that might be a really discouraging thing. It is to some degree. But I think that's where we have to start. if you look at Psalm 14, the psalmist, in describing people who say in their heart there is no God, an atheistic mindset, it says in the list of atrocities that they do not call on God's name. It really comes down to a sense of unbelief, our lack of belief or our lack of affection together are really at the heart of prayerlessness. You find a young man who's pursuing a young lady. It really doesn't matter how much time he has or doesn't have. He'll find a way. It doesn't matter if he knows how to pursue a young lady or not. He'll find a way to pursue her. If the affection's there, it drives a person. And I think that's what we need with prayer. I think we need to take an honest look at ourselves and say, this is where we need to start with growing a prayer life as individuals and as a church. Do we love God? And if your answer is just a disappointing, not as much as I should, then I would encourage you, start praying right there. And make that the first petitions of prayer. Lord, I do not love you as I should. Please grow a love for you in my heart. Please grow in me a love of you that is manifested in seeking your face in prayer. I think if we start there, friends, then we can start addressing the real heart of prayerlessness in our personal lives and in our life as a church. So the question I would want you to ask yourselves as you consider this would be, what is getting in the way? What excuses have you told yourself? What reasons do you often use to salve a conscience for why we don't pray? And really get down to the root of affections for God and confess that to him and pray that he would increase that love of him in your life.